The Minnesota taxpayer is the largest funder of al-Shabaab. It certainly seems to be that way from recent reports. And on top of all of this, they're actively stopping and interfering with federal law enforcement officials on the issue that the federal government has supreme authority over, which is the national sovereignty of our borders and immigration. So if anything, we're witnessing insurrection play out in real time, and more evidence seems to come out that that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, it really is wild. And to your both of your points about, the focusing in, the whole reason I named the stream this is literally one of these like absolute animals bit the finger off of an ICE agent. I can't show you because YouTube, but why are we seeing 1,000 videos of that? Why are people breaking down the play on that? It's gruesome, it's vicious, right? But we don't see any of that because this is what the focus has to be, right? Like this is the debating over this narrative has now become the entire game. And you're seeing the fact that Tim Walz was already in a terrible situation. As you point out, Matthew, the fraud story had broken. There was going to be a huge backlash. That news cycle was going to hurt the Democrats. They knew it. And Tim Walz was stepping down. He wasn't going to run for being governor anymore. He's basically politically ruined out of the whole thing. And what do you know? All of a sudden, there's this manufactured show, and all of a sudden ICE is coming in, and we've got to, have this knockdown. Now, Walz has just said, apparently, Trump has announced this, that he is willing to cooperate with ICE. And if his officers cooperate with ICE and bring the illegals out, then ICE operations will cease in the area. Now, some people are saying, well, that would be a retreat by Trump, but I think at this point, that was always the situation. The reason we're not seeing these incidents in red states isn't because they aren't deporting people from red states. It's that red states are handing the illegals to the ICE agents when they show up. There's no need to go into these dangerous situations and retrieve them. So it's a scenario where all you would be doing is setting us up to the situation where we were supposed to be. Now, I'm honestly doubtful that the left will de-escalate, and I'm honestly doubtful that the Minnesota police will ultimately cooperate. And so I think that this probably will not work out, but this is what Trump has announced. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I guess we'll go ahead and get into the video of the shooting, which is what everybody is currently debating here. As Kevin said, when I first started looking at this, I couldn't tell what was going on at all. I had to watch this many times, have it broken down very slowly before a picture of this emerged. So I put together, I think, about 4 videos to help us kind of know where this is coming from. But here is the activists coming in. Now, I want to remind you, the left hates gun rights. They hate people carrying guns. They certainly hate the idea of people defending themselves against federal officers or the police with guns. The idea that they would be like, look, man, that guy at J6, he was just using his constitutional carry rights. He's a legal observer of what's happening during the election. Like, obviously garbage. So all of the left's, stuff about this is entirely embarrassing. But here is the first video, the one that really got around for most people. Now, I want to focus before we get into the actual breakdown because, both of you pointed this out with kind of the rules for radicals. You'll notice the constant whistle blowing. People might not know, but they're going out there and getting these super loud, like rape whistles, and they're just blowing them nonstop the entire time they're out there for 2 reasons. One, because it's there to distract and like psychologically shake the officers. They want them to constantly be on edge. It is there to manufacture on edge behavior. They want them to be pushed to the edge and possibly make mistakes. That's the whole purpose of the whistle. But the other thing is that it's loud enough to constantly disrupt communication, making it difficult for the officers to hear each other, to know what's going on. So they're, again, hoping to force mistakes by officers miscommunicating, not being able to hear each other over the whistles, not being able to tell each other what's going on, possibly hide criminal behavior or attacks. So all of this is coordinated. None of this is some organic protest, some kind of general outpouring of understanding from the community. This is a coordinated, terrorist operation, start to finish, designed to manufacture what's going to happen. This is what they wanted to happen. Never forget this. This is what Tim Walz wanted. This is what his lieutenant governor, his advisors, This is what they were coordinating to create.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
All right, so they're trying to arrest a violent illegal, and you can see this person run up, and also the guy who will eventually be involved in the shooting, they run up here. The ICE agent shoves the woman away who ran up to him, and then the guy who has, and I'll show you the video here previously, this is not when he first entered the area, but this is the guy who's going to be involved in the shooting here. He gets maced. He continues to interfere. He ends up getting pulled off by the ICE agent and to the ground.
The fuck, people! The fuck
You
is
see
wrong with you?
the swarming there
Honestly.
in the huddle, and then you're gonna hear a shot here in a minute. And kind of everybody scatters from there. So that's kind of the first video that I think came out beforehand that most people saw, but it's very difficult to get what happened there, especially because the camera drops just as the gun is being fired. Now, this video here, you can see that the same guy was involving himself, getting in the face, filming, arguing with, shoving the ICE agent previously. So he's not just some guy who happened to walk into the area. Also, armed, did not have identification. Now, this is really interesting here because during this struggle, you find out that the guy had a weapon, but he was disarmed during this. And if you go slow here, you can see this is the guy who removed the weapon. This is the ICE agent who removed the weapon from the guy's holster as the rest of them were trying to subdue him. And if you watch, you'll see that it actually looks like it discharges. You can actually see the slide move as he's walking away.
Wouldn't it be crazy if like the whole Civil War popped off because of those faulty triggers?
Right. So this is what we're going to get into, because I think a lot of people don't know the background of this weapon. So maybe Kevin, you can explain a little bit about the SIG P320 and why it is now infamous with the military.
I'm not at all a gun guy. I'm not going to embarrass myself talking about this. Basically, all I know is that they're faulty triggers and they have a tendency to discharge when they're not supposed to.
So for people who don't know, this is a striker fired gun. Like most these newer guns, these kind of Glock style guns have what's called a striker instead of a hammer. And so that striker is usually pre-cocked in the gun. And then the trigger releases. And what has been happening is that over the years, people have been removing the manual safety from these guns and has also lightened the trigger pull on these guns. And the more that has happened, the more likely you are to get a negligent discharge, because the only things that kind of keep you from firing a gun accidentally are the holster it's in, an external safety, and the weight of the trigger, which is like why revolvers or classic hammer double action guns have a longer trigger pull, because they don't have a manual safety. Or if you have a gun that's got a lighter trigger pull, you want a manual safety on it. But we've kind of been pushing the edge of this in gun technology to where you have no manual safety and the trigger's like 4 pounds, which just means it's far more likely to go off. Now, there's also been rumors that when the gun is dropped, it fires on its own, that it is not drop safe. Now, obviously, this is not a drop situation. So whether or not that is an accurate assessment, I don't know. But the gun has become so infamous for discharges that there are now questions about whether this gun, which was widely adopted to replace the Beretta 92 by the military, whether it will actually continue to be the new military sidearm. Hey guys, if you've been watching this show for a while, then you know that around here we encourage something that conservatives usually don't do. You know, winning. If you like what I'm doing here and you want to keep it going, then head over to Blaze TV. They have the behind-the-scenes content, exclusives, and documentaries that you're just not going to see anywhere else. So go to blazetv.com/Auron and subscribe today. The promo code is AURON and you'll save $20 right now off the annual plan.